Greetings aspirants, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to another video of CC concepts, and in this video we are going to talk about ballistic missiles. We all know that missiles are of two types. One is ballistic missile, other one is cruise missile. But in today's video we are going to restrict our discussion to ballistic missile. In this video, first we'll look at what a ballistic missile is, then we'll see different types of ballistic missiles, and lastly we'll see different stages of a ballistic missile once it gets fired. Now, what is a ballistic missile? Ballistic missile is basically a missile where the warhead or once it fired, the warhead gets fired in different stages. The boost or the power is going to be only to a certain point of time, but later the gravity is going to do the work. Like you can see here, this ballistic missile is powered initially by a rocket or series of rockets in stages. Then it follows an unpowered trajectory where the boost is not going to be there or where the power is not supplied. Then that arches upwards. It arches upwards before descending to reach the intended target. They can carry both conventional as well as nuclear warheads. Now, if you look at the types of ballistic missiles, there are basically four types of ballistic missiles. This is based on the range. They are going to cover. The first type are the short-range ballistic missiles, where the range of the missiles is less than 1,000 kilometers. And they are also called as tactical ballistic missiles. Now, the second type, we have the medium range, where the range of the missiles are going to be 1,000 to 3,000 kilometers. Third one being the intermediate range, where the range of the missile is going to be 3,000 to 5,500 kilometers. Now, lastly, we have long-range ballistic missiles. They are also called the intercontinental ballistic missiles. Or we can also call them as strategic ballistic missiles. The range of these long-range missiles is going to be more than 5,500 kilometers. Okay. We have short range, medium range, intermediate range, and long range. These are the four types of ballistic missiles with respect to the range. You have to know that these ICBMs, these intercontinental ballistic missiles, travel a lot better range or more distance, which is compared to the minimum range of the missile. Okay, you have to note this point. Now, moving forward, once the missile is fired, you can categorize that path of the missile into three stages. The first stage being the boost phase. Now, what is the main thing in the ballistic missile? I told you that initially there is going to be a boost to certain phase, but later it is going to reach to the maximum height. So this is that phase where it begins at the launch. This phase begins at the launch, and till the power is given or till the engine stops firing, till the rocket engine stops firing, and the missile begins unpowered flight. In this phase, the missile begins the unpowered flight. Till there, the boost phase lasts. And depending on the missile, this phase can last up to 3 to 5 minutes. And most of this phase is going to take place in the atmosphere. What do I mean by that? For example, a missile is fired at this point. Okay, and if this is the path and this is the atmosphere we are talking about, most of this boost phase is going to be in the atmosphere. Now, talking about the second phase, which is nothing but the mid-course phase. Now, the mid-course phase begins once the rocket or once the missile starts with the unpowered flight. After the rocket engine stops firing and the missile starts with the unpowered flight, this missile continues to ascend towards the maximum height, because the trajectory the missile is going to follow is elliptical. This is the maximum height. So even though the engine stops firing, the missile is going to reach the maximum height, and even in the same phase, the missile starts descending. The missile starts descending, and you have to know that this phase is the phase which lasts for the longest time, and the maximum distance is covered by the missile during this phase. This is the longest phase, as I told you. This is the longest phase of a missile flight, or for the intercontinental ballistic missiles, it can last for around almost 20 minutes, which is a very long time, right? Also, during the mid-course phase, these intercontinental ballistic missiles can travel around 24 with a speed of around 24,000 kilometers per hour, around 24,000 kilometers per hour. Now, the last phase which I'm talking about is the terminal phase. This terminal phase begins once the warhead again comes back into the atmosphere, because just now we talked about it. We said that in the mid-course phase, the warhead is going to leave the atmosphere. But again, in this phase, once the warhead comes back into the atmosphere, the terminal phase is going to begin. Terminal phase is going to begin, and this phase ends upon the impact of the detonation. And during this phase, this can last for less than a minute. Strategic warheads can be traveling at a speed greater than 2,300 kilometers per hour. 2,300 kilometers per hour. Now, let me show you a simple diagram to make you understand the different phases. Now, if you can see, this is the place where the launch is going to start, and this is the place we are trying to target, or this is where we can see the impact of the detonation. As you can see, there are three phases shown here. One is the booster burnout phase, this is the second phase, mid-course phase, and this is the terminal phase. So in this phase, the missile is going to get the power. The missile is going to get the power from the engine. But after this, there is going to be the missile goes by itself till the highest point without any external power. But again it starts falling back. And this is all the mid-course phase. You can see that this is the phase which is lasting for the longest time. But later, again, when it comes back into the atmosphere, consider this is the atmosphere. Once it comes back into the atmosphere, once it re-enters the atmosphere and the warheads re-enters the atmosphere, this is where the terminal phase begins, and this can last for a very less time. And this is where the detonation happens, right? Hope you have understood the different phases. So in this video, we saw about the ballistic missile, and then we saw different types of ballistic missile based on the range. And lastly, we talked about the different stages of ballistic missile. We'll be back again with another concept. Thank you.